We are officially 15 days away from the federal crop insurance spring planting date, and by the looks of this field behind me and many other of our farms, with the lack of snow and rain that we had over the winter months, in 15 days we will be planting. Looking at the field conditions, there is still a little bit of frost in the ground, but in all honesty, if this soil would warm up a little bit, we get a couple warm days, it'll go soon. Which means there's only 15 days to get everything else ready at the farm, so we're ready to go for spring planting. We have the planter ready. The things we need to get ready yet is our four-wheel drive here, check the tire pressure, make sure there's no filters or anything I need to change, and update all the software on the globe as well as inside the cab. Then I gotta get our seed tender ready. One of them we let the neighbor use. Actually, this one's ours. That's the one that we'll be using, so I'll get them both ready, but I need to get those ready as well. As well as the field cultivator here, which we will run a tillage pass before the planter just to freshen up the soil, help bring up some black dirt. That way it warms up a little bit faster. So we'll get that thing out of here. That'll go on the four-wheel drive. There's probably a couple sweeps I need to change on there. Hit it with a little bit of grease. That shouldn't take that long. To get started on getting everything out of the shed, we'll pull the 82 out with the chisel plow. That should give us enough room to get everything else out we're gonna need for today. See if this old girl starts. Usually these old tractors start up a little bit easier than the new ones like that in the corner, so I'm pretty optimistic this is gonna go. Oh, I forgot to pull the choke. Hard to do this with just one hand, push the starter and then hit the choke, but we'll give her a try. Starts right up. Oh, it died. Didn't give it gas. Now will be the real test. See if this thing starts right away. Usually you can bank on at least one piece of equipment having a dead battery or not starting for some reason, so far we're 3 for 3. It is now time to take out what is my favorite tractor to run, which is the four-wheel drive, and unfortunately didn't get to run it at all last year, so you better believe I'm excited to drive it this spring. Pop it forward, give her a little gas, see if we got any major alarms. No, okay, should be good. The first thing that needs to be done here on the four-wheel drive is I need to change the tire pressure. Gotta put 9 pounds of pressure in the front, 7 in the back. While I'm checking the tire pressure, I believe I'm parked close enough to the shop where we have Wi-Fi. I can rob the Wi-Fi off of the shop and I can start to update all of the controllers in the cab here as well as the display, which is always well practiced just to make sure everything's up to date before we get started for the year. With the tires checked and all the grease zerks that I know about greased, now we're gonna do a little bit of a visual inspection, make sure I have all the filters up to date on here. We have the dates written on the side of all the filters we changed. So we'll go around, make sure all the filters that need to be replaced get replaced. Let's see if any of our hydraulic filters back here need replacing. It says 365 hours. We got about 1,100 hours on it, so we should be good on those. Fuel filter looks good as well, just replaced about 90 hours ago. We'll check the dipstick for the oil. That looks at an acceptable amount as well. Honestly, all the filters and everything on this, Dad replaced, it looks like last fall. The only other thing that I'm realizing we need to maybe change is there's different sizes hitches for some stupid reason, and I need to make sure which hitch we need. Right now there's the small pin in here, so there's quite a bit of slop around the bottom side of the tongue, and we'll see if this is the one we need for the field cultivator. Looks like this is the one I need. I'll have to put the adapter on. Slide this bad boy on here. Put the pin back in, and basically all that did is take away that little bit of slop that sits around this pin, so that'll fit nice and snug. Just had a truck and trailer pull in. Got a couple bags of seed we gotta unload now. That way we'll bring these into the shop. These ones gotta be treated yet. So the seed that came in, our district rep here was showing us, these are actually from South America, and you knew that because
the looks of it.
The looks of the seed, which I thought was pretty interesting, so I thought I'd include it just because the seed's a little bit darker tinge. Not that it shouldn't make any difference though. No.
Let's see that. They actually spray. See that? That's actually sprayed by chemical to kill them, so they can get them up here in time.
That's why they look like that?
That's why they look like that.
So that's why the beans are so small then, kind of too.
Yep. They spray them to kill them so they can get them up.
Desiccants, right? Is that what they call them?
Yep.
Huh. I don't know.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
I thought that was pretty interesting to learn that that seed was from South America. Probably just got grown like a couple months ago. But now we're back to working on the tractors. This 9R is ready to go. The next thing we're gonna do is get the field cultivator out of the shed. So we'll get the other tractor unhooked, pull the cultivator out, and then hopefully hook it up to the 4-wheel drive here. Oh, what a sound. You gotta love this thing. For some reason our blinker's on though. Oh, this tractor feels like a step down in technology every time I get in compared to everything else. Old screen, old controls, just feels old. Even starts old. By the looks of it, to get the field cultivator out of this shed, I'm gonna end up pulling out this flat rack, as well as this fuel trailer. That tractor doesn't start, so hopefully that's good. It looks like I should be able to make that work. So we'll start pulling out some stuff. I bet you guys have never seen this trick when you're hooking up to something and you don't want to get off the tractor to put the pin in it. You strategically, you swing it 1, 2, 3. Yeah, wouldn't that have been cool if it would work, but it didn't. Some guy has a TikTok where he actually somehow managed to make that work. I try almost every time and video it just thinking, hey, if this actually works, it'd be pretty sick. Never happens. Now that I have nearly spent half my day backing equipment out of this shed, we finally have enough room to get out the one single piece of equipment we need, which is why I also desperately wish we had another shed here at the farm, so we didn't have to move everything around when we just want one thing out. Now we'll get this thing backed up to the shop. We'll slowly start checking over all of the sweeps down here at the bottom. Make sure they have a fair amount of life in them for the start of the season. And then we will start checking the tires and greasing all the pivot points. Now we'll get the next section folded out. That way we don't have to crawl under the whole thing all the time. And we'll grease and check the air pressure in this section. Now I'm just doing a quick one over, seeing if there's any broken bolts or any shanks that are sitting back farther. By the looks of it, all of the actual shovels look like they were sharp. I will grab a couple extras to put in the rock box, but so far I am not finding anything that looks out of the ordinary that I need to fix. We'll grab a couple extra shovels to keep in the rock box. We do have two different styles of these. These are reinforced carbide nickels. They have this extra weld or extra bead right here. These are the traditional ones. Honestly, we bought all of these like 4 or 5 years ago. John Deere decided to up the price on these overnight, so we went ahead, bought a full pallet, so we'll just take a couple of each. The last thing we need to get done on the field cultivator is there is a calibration that I perform every year which resets the height controller, because there is basically a sensor back there that determines the actual height that it's reading or the depth that we're digging, and that gets coordinated inside this display, and every year it's just good practice to recalibrate that. So we'll get the digger folded up, we'll take it out to one of the fields, and we will reset that calibration. First time folding the digger out now for 2025. Let's hope it's a good year. It's always a trick to remember where you gotta be to find everything, since I only set this thing up once a year. Calibration, there we go. Shank calibration, got it. What the calibration does is it lowers the implement all the way to the ground like it is now, and it uses that as the true zero, and then it raises it all the way to the top. That way it knows the full length or where the cylinder should feel for basically the zero, and they're automatically raised. So once I do that like once, then I go out there and I'm gonna measure it with the tape measure to see how accurate I got. Here now on the display it's telling me we're at negative 13 inches for the shank height. Now if we take the tape measure out here and we measure, it is exactly at negative 13 inches at the bottom of the shank. I didn't do that calibration one year and we had a heck of a time. So now, like I said, that's one of the first things I do every year we hook this thing up, just so I know for certain if I'm not in here, it's done. I'm really tempted now. I got the digger out, unfolded. We're in a field where there's plenty of dry dirt. There's only like a 5-acre field. Do I make a pass? Temptation's a real thing. I shouldn't have brought the tractor out here. We made our first pass of the year. Honestly, this stuff worked up really well. The soil is still really cold. It smells just like spring. But honestly, we didn't work this field at all last year after we took the soybeans off. So it won't hurt if I do scratch around a little bit. That way we can kind of work in some of this residue before all the wind takes it all away. I only ended up making one round. Dad called, he got excited because he saw me out here. The equipment's ready. The field is basically ready. The only problem is we're waiting on the calendar, because the calendar says, and Mother Nature says, it's not supposed to warm up. So honestly, we won't be planting seed for, like I said, hopefully 15 days. But once it warms up, we'll be out here. As much as I honestly should get the seed tender ready, now that this shed is completely emptied, for the first time since I've been trying to update all LEDs, I currently have the back row, except for that one, switched over to LEDs. And on this row, they are all switched over to LEDs, except for some reason, this one isn't working. So I'm gonna get raised up and check it out. Not sure if it's my light or my electrical work. So I'll try plugging one in and we'll see if this makes any difference. Must be something in the box. Changed out the electrical receptacle. Now let's see if this is gonna make any difference. Perfect. Must have been a bad receptacle I was using, so we got that one changed. Now we're taking the trolley over to the last one, and I will have this building fully switched to LEDs too. For some reason on this one, I'm having the same problem I did over there. This is a 15 amp, 125 volt receptacle. I installed it, but it didn't work. So now I need to get a new receptacle here. I don't have any other extra ones here at the farm, so we'll just cap it off for today and finish it another day. I'll pick up one of those receptacles tomorrow when I'm in town. That way this project will just be over. Today felt like a lot of running around, jumping on and off equipment since Dad was gone all day and I was the only one here to move around stuff. So I started to look on my phone, see how many steps that I got in, and today it's currently 5:15. You can barely see it because I broke my phone, but I have 19,902 steps today, which is quite a bit considering it's only 5. But it's good because the weather's getting nicer. We're getting close to being in the fields. So with that, that's all I got for today's video of HiTech Farmer. Thanks so much everybody for watching. We'll see ya in the next one.